Hey VC, Big Star 1000, Revolutions number 25, and this is Friday night as usual. And cheers to everybody. Having a bit of a Cooper's Green from Melbourne. I hope everybody's well, and I've got a pile of 20 records, and I hope that you enjoy the ride with me. I want to tell you a little story before I get started. I had some issues with my turntable, and I've got a Torrance turntable. If you're a geek, a TD-125 Mark II, and I had a really bad playing issue to do with the sound. And I took it to the best, apparently the best shop in Melbourne for this kind of problem. And I had all sorts of problems with the shop. I didn't see my turntable for like 7 weeks. No communication whatsoever. But then after going back and forth, it's quite far away from where I live as well. I talked the guy into fixing the problem and doing something, and it turns out that my cartridge was I had an Autophon 2M Red, which is the starter's Autophon cartridge, which was stuffed basically, and he put instead a Autophon 2M Blue, and it makes a world of difference. I mean, it's a better cartridge. The sound, the sonic difference is impressive. And so to celebrate, I played all sorts of really interesting sounding records to test my new cartridge. So that's what you're going to see here. So one of the first records that I put on my new, it's like I've got a new turntable almost. It's so good. On my newly reset cartridge was 1973 Masterpiece by John Martin, Solid Air, which is originally on Island Records. And this is just an absolutely wonderful, wonderful record. This is a Back on Black, I think, reissue of the record, but it sounds really dynamic. And so I'll put this on first to try my new cartridge, and it just sounds brilliant. If you don't have this record, you need to have this record. This record is a must. It's the perfect amalgamation of folk and jazz. It's a really just spectral, cosmic record. John Martin was a Scottish folk singer, and it's just stunning. And then I continued with more folk, sort of noodling, and this is also a favorite record of mine, Bonnie Prince Billy. I See a Darkness, easily my favorite record by Bonnie Prince Billy. Will Oldham, as his real name is, from Louisville, Kentucky. And this is the first album that I became aware of Bonnie Prince Billy in that year, 1999. And that was the first album that I, heard about back in, and it's a great, great record, and it's so understated and subtle. And again, with the new cartridge, with the Autophon 2M Blue, people, if you've got an Autophon 2M Red, you're thinking of upgrading, because I know a lot of people in the VC have the cartridge. Don't hesitate, just get a better cartridge. It's double the price, but it's stunning, stunning, stunning. This I heard things on this that I had not heard previously. Continuing, here's a classic Brazilian joint, Tom Zé, Todos os Olhos, 3 words, Todos os Olhos, and it appears to be a picture of a close-up picture of a rectum. I said rectum on the VC, the first one to do that. It's a beautiful press on Philips Polysome. Great record, really trippy, psychedelic Brazilian record from the 70s, with some really bizarre songs. It's just joyous and jaunty as hell. Amazing. And then a great record to play on a new cartridge is a classic like Pieces of Man, which, I mean, has been showed recently in the VC by James Buttery and somebody else, maybe Champ Sound. Nonetheless, great records. I mean, it's the quintessence of really Gus Calone's work with, you know, the revolution will not be televised, and Lady Angel Coltrane, and Home is Where the Hatred Is, and etc. Brilliant record on Flying Dutchman from the early 70s. And here's a bit of an obscurity that I thought I'd play again. I hadn't played this in a while. It's very, very nice soul record. I don't know if it. I don't think I've seen this in the VC. I have had this record for a few years. I would say 4 or 5 years, but I don't pull it that often enough. Sergio Quarterman and the Free Soul. This is a reissue. I mean, an original of this reissue came out in 2009, I think, if I'm right, 2009 on Soul Brother, which is when I got this, thereabouts. Very, very, very cool record. Sergio Quarterman and the Free Soul. Obscure kind of soul record, great soul record, just very tasty and excellent soul record. On the more experimental post-punk side, I also pulled out this EP, which is basically Public Image Limited and Can playing together. Jawabo, Yaki Libertad, and Olga Tsukai from both of them from Cannes. This is a wonderful sort of post-punk, kind of tribal-ish, crowd rock number dedicated to Ian Curtis, but even the sleeve and the aesthetics of it, you can tell that it's got a very Joy Division feel to it, and it does do that. It's called How Much Are They? And it's a great little single. And on the sort of post-punk experimental side as well, I had the chance also to put on Big Science by Laurie Anderson, which is a long-time favourite of mine, a great record. I mean, everybody knows Oh Superman, it's the weirdest single ever, basically, with just vocals, dedicated to Jules Massenet, French composer. But this is a stunning record from Lou Reed's wife. Well, Lou Reed, who is not with us anymore, but Laurie Anderson was his wife. And talking about great female artists, this artist is very dear to me, Julie Driscoll. This is her album 1969 on Polydor, original German, I think. This is a wonderful soul. Again, I was saying about John Martin, soul folk, or folk jazz, if you like, folk jazz record. This is what it is. Just really lovely, really dynamic. Her voice is just something else. She's also known as Julie Tippett, as the wife of Keith Tippett, who is arranging this. And you can find all sorts of really great people on there, including Elton Dean from Surf Machine, and as I said, Keith Tippett. It's a very Canterbury infused record. In a totally different register, he's a guitar beast. Love Devotion Surrender. I have to say I played this because of Mark, Dr. Rhythm. I was watching your video, Mark, if you're watching this, and you pull this out, or you or John maybe. But great records, like a Coltrane tribute really. It's got Love Supreme and Naima, and you know, other tracks. Jan Hammer on drums, Billy Cobham, Carlos Santana, Michael Shreve, top notch LP, great jazz fusion record. Continuing in no particular order, here is a great jazz record, shown many times, I've shown this many times, Les by Les McCann on Atlantic, a lovely sort of space jazz record. It's got a very famous Massive Attack sample from Teardrop on this. Brilliant record. A must have in any jazz collection. Excellent. As McCann. To a more obscure record from Quebec, French speaking Canada. Here is Dion Bréjean et Le Troisième Jour, which I've shown as well before in sort of Quebec prog videos. Kieran, if you're watching, it's a lovely sort of progressive electronic record from Canada. In this, you know, sort of a Tangerine Dream Canadian. But these two dudes, Vincent Dion and Michel Georges Bréjean. And both of them play all sorts of, you know, interesting instruments, such as organs and minimoog and all sorts of really whacked out instruments. Great records, excellent. I don't know if I've shown a Tom Waits album in a long time on the VC, but this is a favorite of mine, Frank's Wild Years, which is part of the trilogy, the famous trilogy with Swordfish, Trombones, and Rain Dogs. And this is a very strong record, very whimsical, lots of accordions and vibraphones, and not very much guitar on it. It's very sparse, very I don't know. Yes, whimsical is the word. It reminds me in parts of things like soundtrack from the movie Amélie, French movie Amélie. It's got this kind of feel to it. This is a German press. I think it's an original German press. It's very good, very good. It's kind of bizarre, but recently I've been kind of obsessed with this record. Which, you know, it's not really a band that I like very much, but I like this record a lot. Asia by Steely Dan. I don't know why, I've just got this sort of revival of just getting in touch with this album again. I don't have any other Steely Dan records. I sold all my Steely Dan records, this is true. I had everything, and it's just bored the shit out of me, this music. But I kept Asia, and I still like it. It's got a cast of thousands. This album, it's phenomenal. The number of players that are on there. It's just from who's on this. I'm tired, people. Look it up. There's like, I don't know how many session musicians. A lot of session musicians. A great record, Asia by Steely Dan, Walter Becker and Donald Fagen, obviously. Amazing musicians. Okay, switching gears. Played the final Come Down the other day. Very, very, just excellent records, excellent soundtrack. Graham Greene, very funky. I don't know if I need to say very much about it, except that it's a funky soundtrack. And likewise, very, very funky record. Barry Miles, Scatbird on Mainstream. It's amazing, amazing sort of funky jazz record. It's just smoking. Where Barry Miles plays electric piano, and he has John Abercrombie on guitar. You know, very cool. Barry Miles is someone that I like to collect. It's very cool. Okay, I'll finish off with 3 or 4 remaining records there. Here is a very uneven record, but I'll still keep it because I love the first side. This is Lonnie Smith with Aphrodisia, which is on Groove Merchant, original press from 1975, which is a really smoking, you know, sort of funky jazz record on the first side. The second side sort of drops down and becomes sort of more regular, kind of run-of-the-mill type of jazz. But the first side's so good. It's got this sort of Afrodelic, you know, kind of, you know, vibe to it. And again, on a completely different plane of existence is Henry the Human Fly by Richard Thompson, 1972, on Hannibal Records. This is Richard Thompson's debut record, and it's excellent. If you like folk music, English folk music, this is a bit up your alley. He was a Fairport Convention, obviously. He's a very famous guitar player. Yeah, it's an excellent record. Very highly recommended. Richard Thompson. Now, on Sunday night, I'm going to meet with Mr. James Buttery, and we are going to go and see this band in Melbourne, Mogwai. James kindly offered to give me a ticket to go and see Mogwai at a place called Hamer Hall, which is in the Arts Centre in Melbourne, Sunday night. So I'm going to go, and we're going to go and see Mogwai. So guess what I was playing this week? Some Mogwai, just to immerse myself back into the music. I played this, and I also played Special Moves, which is the live album, and also the first album, whatever the name of the first album is. You'll know the first record. A shout out to Mr. Ben Costello. You sent me this as VCRT a while back, and I really like this record, Ben. Thank you very much for sending me this record. It's just an excellent sort of post-punk pop record, that Petrol Emotion with Manic Pop Thrill, featuring members of the Undertones. It's an excellent, just really, you know, it's got this kind of proto Pixies kind of sound to it. It's excellent, really like sort of bouncy music. Another rock record that I was playing last night, excellent rock record, the Flaming Groovies with Teenage Head, which this is an original on Kama Sutra. Just a superb sort of, they call this the alternative Sticky Fingers when it came out, which is maybe doing a disservice to it, because it's a way more interesting record than Sticky Fingers. It's just an excellent piece of music. The Flaming Groovies were from San Francisco, and they were very sort of outside of the sort of the scene that was going on at the time. 1971, not psychedelic at all, just really a rock record, a damn right. You know, play a High Flying Baby if you want a sample. And finally, this morning, before I was going to work, I was ironing my shirt to this record. Sunship by Coltrane, just an excellent record. And finish with that today. Beautiful, yeah, spiritual record. Originally recorded in '65, but released in 1971. Power to the man. It's fantastic. So there you go. This is a roundup of my plays, things that I've played on my new cartridge for the last few weeks, last couple of weeks, or last week even. I do play a lot of records when I'm at home. I just churn through them. So it's cool. Anyway, leave me some comments and interact with me, VC.